Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Nod. This episode is powered by Devitt Insurance, trusted by UK bikers for over 85 years. Whether you ride one bike or a whole garage full, Devitt's got you covered. From single bike policies to multi-bike insurance that can save you time and money, they make it easy to help and protect what you ride. Tailored insurance quotes, practical prices and highly rated on Trustpilot. Head to devittinsurance.com today. Hello and welcome to The Nod, a mindful motorcycle podcast. Welcome back. Charlie and I here as ever, and this week we are joined by none other than Harvey Rides Bikes.
Harvey.
And if you don't know Harvey Rides Bikes, you're one of the very few people on the internet that's probably not following him. Meteoric rise from humble beginnings. Who knew videoing your commute to work was content and influencer worthy? But Harvey, that's exactly what he's done.
I wish I'd known that, because then I wouldn't have had to spend months and months and months sharing a tent with you in. I don't want to talk about that bit. Okay, that's just just Pornhub.
What goes on tour stays on tour. Yeah.
What happens in the tent?
Harvey, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on. Now,
thank you for having me. Hello.
It's great that we've got you on. I must confess, you dropped a message to the podcast Instagram.
I did,
12 months ago.
Yeah.
Saying it's my dream to be on the podcast. And I confess, I read it and I went, who the fuck is this guy? Why the fuck would he come on our podcast?
Yeah. Why would anybody want to come on? I mean, we have to coax them on.
It's just another idiot on the internet.
Yeah.
No chance.
How wrong were you?
How wrong? Now he is.
Yeah. I mean, who's the idiot now?
And then we met.
Yeah.
And then you became an ambassador for the Gentleman's Ride this year and came on the London Ride with us, and it was great. And I was like, this guy, it's actually quite nice. But I was like, I still don't think he's ready to come on, not enough to talk about, really. And then I messaged him, I was like...
What a wanker. I still don't think he's ready,
But he's got a big enough following now, so...
Yeah. Well, then
it's amazing how 7 followers changes someone, isn't it?
I think I said, when you hit 1 million, you can come on. And like a week later, you messaged me with a screenshot. I was like, oh, right. Oh, okay. No. Shit.
I know. Well, I don't understand how he's got 1 million people. I've done fucking loads of TV shows, and I've got like 120,000 people, and that's about it.
Well, I think at first, I was going to say anybody watching...
I'm obviously doing something wrong.
Anybody watching will see why, but actually,
he's a good-looking guy.
Until about a month ago, all you were was just a helmet.
That was true. That's true. Yeah, I hid my face.
That is true. Yeah.
But back to my question. 12 months ago, I wrote a list of things that I really want to do. I think last year and this year, of like, I'd be great if this happened and then this happened. And 2 of the things on this list was to be an ambassador for the DGR, and to be on this podcast. So, So I wrote this list out of things that would be really cool that I'd want to do. So it's cool to be here.
But pleasure to have you. It really is a pleasure to have you. Actually, I joke, but
no, it's cool. No, it is nice. I know that you said you passed your test in 2002.
Well, let's go back. Let's start with your journey into biking.
I was just in the middle of asking a question.
I know, but your question was going to jump the gun into the middle of the edit, so we just try and flow it through and start at the start.
You were born.
Harvey, age
how was
0.
That? Was that
it was.
That's where all my troubles start.
East Surrey, Red Hill. I remember it like it was yesterday. It just flew out.
And then childhood happened.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Pretty standard.
So grew up South Surrey.
Round here.
Born and raised Dorking Way.
Yeah, Nutfield, Chipstead, Reigate, Dorking mostly. Yeah.
Did you do a lot of mountain biking around here when you were younger?
No. I did a bit of BMXing, like jumps in the farm that I lived on. My mum rented this house from a guy on a farm or something, so I had access to his land, and I used to make jumps and stuff like that. But it was never like huge for me. I found biking quite late in life. I think because I make videos, people assume that I was in a field growing up with like an off-road thing, and actually started riding 3 years ago. So not long at all.
Only 3 years ago?
Yeah.
So what brought you into biking? What was that catalyst that made you think bikes are cool?
So I fell into it because I worked in property, and this guy who actually lives around here, he bought me a motorbike, but it's like a company car. So it's a 125 to whiz around London. I was 21 years old.
And what were you doing in property?
So I was a property manager.
Property manager.
Property manager, maintaining flats and properties around London. It was that point, it was lettings. So I was looking after sort of £5 to £10 million flats on a rental basis and looking after contractors and landlords and that kind of stuff. So I had a company car, but it was a motorbike. So I got to use it, whatever. So the way I got around town is to visit all these buildings, was zipping around in a 125, and I loved it. But I was 21. He fired me 6 months later.
Oh.
But
it was really...
Why?
It was really strange. The first reason he said is my girlfriend at the time is earning more money than me. Yes, and his wife / HR was kicking him underneath the table.
Wife / HR.
And it was really strange. He was quite a funny persona, really micromanaging. Anyway, he gave me a lot of money to leave, even though I was still on my probation. He could say you can leave, but he gave me 2 or 3 months' pay, this load of cash, and he said you can keep the motorbike if you want.
Wow, God, he really did want to get rid of you.
Yeah, but he said if you kick up a fuss, you don't get all this stuff. But if you leave right now today, you can have essentially £10,000 worth of. And I was 20 years old, 21, so £10,000 is like £1 million. Anyway, I loved it, but I couldn't afford it. But I went to go do my test. I failed my theory, and I thought, oh, you know what, I can't afford this anyway, even if I do pass.
Yeah.
So I just left it and parked it. But 8 years later, I went round to my uncle's house, and he had a Z1000 Kawasaki.
Oh yeah, nice bike.
And it was in the garage in the shed, and I thought, oh, can I sit on it? So I'm sitting on this thing, going, playing with all the buttons, and I was sort of trying to remember where everything is.
Were you making noises?
Yeah. Literally, I was doing that. And he goes, oh, you can go for a ride if you want. And I go, what? So my uncle is like big in both ways. He's 6'3" kind of thing, but he's wide. Yeah. And he gives me his helmet and his jacket, and the sleeves are over here, and I'm just not. And I look at him. And he goes, "Go on then." I said, "Well, are you sure about this? Because this is a rocket ship compared to anything." Yeah,
straight on it after an 8-year break.
And you were on a private estate when you were riding around on private roads.
Whenever I tell this story, I was on his private airfield.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know how to turn it on, so he had to turn it on for me. I stalled it 3 times on gravel, getting out there, and I'd say it 3 or 4 times. I look at him, I go, "Are you sure about this?" And he goes, "Yeah, okay." So I forget.
Was his getting less and less as you were stalling?
He was just like, "Go for it."
Yeah.
So I'm whizzing around the private airfield, and I forget where first gear is. So I get it straight into second, and I forget that first is down, and I'm all over the place. And within 5 minutes, it all comes back. And I was whizzing around the Cotswold private airfield for 20 minutes, and I completely fell in love. Completely obsessed. The whole thing. You know how it is.
Sure.
And I got off the bike, and there is a video of me that I haven't uploaded of I whizzed past his house, and I'm going, screaming past his house. And I got off the bike, booked it, everything. Theory, test. I bought a bike before I passed. Started to research how to ride, what bikes, this, that, and the other, and that's how I sort of found or fell in love with
the bikes. And what was the one you researched and the first bike you bought?
The first bike I bought was a Z1000.
It was a Z1000.
Yeah. It was the 2016 Sugomi, which I still have.
Yeah.
So it's a naked sports bike, and I would.
Oh, so it was the small sit-up one. Yeah.
Yeah, and whenever I used to go around London, I would see them parked up, and I would look at the time. If I ever got a bigger bike, what would I get? And it was the Z1000, and it's the same bike as my uncle had. He has a slightly older one, but it's the same thing. So I got that one. That was my first one. I still have it, but I don't ride it in London too much.
It's a lot of bike for London.
Oh yeah, and the turning circle, it doesn't move.
I don't think there's.
Well, I know
there's
it
nothing
doesn't.
Big,
it's only
too big.
It's only as fast as you twist the handle on it.
Yeah, it's.
And I've ridden Harleys like ultra glides through London, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, clearly.
But it's a lot of bike for your first bike.
Yeah, a lot of bike.
Well, I bought a G6R 750.
Yeah.
As my first.
That's a lot of bike too.
So yeah, I think you have to. As a young person, you don't really, it's like speed.
Yeah, that was it.
Horsepower.
That was it.
Yeah.
It was my brain went cool sports bikes, fast power speed, as you say, and I was scared of it the first 4 months, but I knew I would get 6 months or a year into it and go, oh, I wish I had a bit more power. And,
Yeah, I know exactly. But it's better to start with loads of power, and then then when you get down to other bikes, it's you understand.
Yeah,
it's good to be able to launch yourself into a hedge
It's a bit
before
like
you know how to ride properly.
yeah.
Well, I did that a lot.
But it was awesome. I passed in October, November, and I didn't care that it was freezing. I was just riding everywhere I could go and just loving it. And yeah, just completely fell in love with every aspect of riding, essentially. Yeah.
So how soon after sort of getting your license and you're commuting, then you're sort of riding around London for work still?
I'm a junior surveyor. I'm ASOC RICS, which is one stage before a chartered surveyor. So I'm a property manager. So I moved into buildings, so I was maintaining and looking after buildings that the flats within them were sort of 1 to 50, 60 million kind of thing before that. And I was riding into London to get to work, and whenever I visited a building, I would just take the bike instead of getting the tube or whatever, and I just loved it.
So when did you then decide to suddenly, well, not suddenly, but there was a point where you then started filming?
There's like 3 or 4 different reasons with all smashing together that this happened. So I had a summer of riding through London, absolutely loved it. And then I got into 2 crashes, 20 miles an hour around London, nothing to write home about kind of thing. And when I first bought the bike, my dad bought me this GoPro and said, you've got to use it. Da, da, da.
Oh, while you're driving.
Yeah, I thought I can't be bothered with the sound and the file and the batteries and the storage of the footage and watching it. I just can't be bothered. But I got into these 2 crashes and I thought it'd be really easy for me to go, look at this footage. It's not my fault. It's like, look at this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that was a reason. The other reason was I joined this new company and I was working at 30 or 40% of the capacity I was before. So I had loads of free time. And I put my hand up loads. Like, you're paying me a lot of money. I can do more here. And they just didn't. So I was gymming for 2 hours and then playing video games for 4 hours kind of thing. I thought, you know what? Like I like to be working towards something at all times, whether it's the gym or bikes or making something or whatever, or property. So I was looking, I wouldn't say I was unfulfilled, but I was itching for like a project. So I thought, you know what? If I didn't game for 4 hours a day, I could learn Spanish in a year, or piano, guitar. But the other one was making videos. And the other reasons, as you say, like being inspired and looking at Instagram content and YouTube content. Some good things, but if I'm honest, like looking how rubbish it was. Because Instagram, for me, when I watch this stuff, I think it's very look at me, look how cool I am, look at my bike, look at my car, look at the holiday I'm on. And it's not how I viewed biking whatsoever. So the interactions I would get in all the time, every single time I rode, I would go back to my housemates and go, this happened, and then this happened. You wouldn't believe it. Like I say this story a lot on podcasts, but I met someone at the traffic lights on the way to the shed, and I got chatting to them every single other traffic light, because London is traffic light central. And I ended up back in their house, with their flat, with their housemates, eating food, playing FIFA with them. I thought, people won't believe this happened. I'm in this complete stranger's house, but that's what owning a bike is like. And there's been loads of occasions where I've met people on the lights towards the shed and then had a coffee with them at the shed.
Yeah.
There's a video of Ramsey, one of the guys who works for the DGR, who I'd completely just ran into in the street, and we went for a beer, and because we got chatting to him at the lights, and I filmed it. So I would get into these interactions all the time, and I would go, oh, I wish I got that on video, because you would just not believe that. But I would look at all these other videos online, and again, it would be very look at me. And biking on social media, I would look at it, and it was like that, or the wheelies or the burnouts, and these people getting millions of views for doing a wheelie or a burnout, or doing just going past the camera for 8 seconds. But one of the videos I looked at was this American guy on a sports bike. He's like, I'm going to go to the cinema. I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? And he pulls in, he's looking for parking. Oh, I'm looking for parking, can't find parking, what am I going to do? And he's sort of commentating what he's doing. And then he parked. Oh, I found somewhere. And then the video ended. I'm like, what? Nothing's happened. Go on the views, 800,000 views. And even my mates that I know personally, they pull into the shed and they have 200 followers on Instagram, let's say, or 400. And the video would get 10,000 views. I'm thinking, hang on, Instagram is pushing out these videos to somebody.
Yeah.
They haven't gone onto their profile and seen it. Instagram has decided, it's not a real view really, because that's how I view views on Instagram, is that it gets pushed to people rather than people coming to you. Instagram has decided to display it to you. I thought that's so fascinating that you can get 10,000 views and 200 followers. and nothing's happening. And if people can get 800,000 views looking for parking, surely me ending up at someone's house, having a barbecue with them with their housemates that I've met at the traffic lights would get millions of views. Surely that would.
See, a lot of people would hesitate about filming everywhere they go. People that,
Well, lots of people do, yeah.
Yeah, just for the opposite reason of being able to, prove somebody else did something wrong, just for capturing on camera.
Well, yeah, but you don't
all
have
the
to
consistently naughty things you do on a motorbike.
Yeah.
But then there are lots of people who would be embarrassed
Oh, yeah.
to film like you do.
What point did you realise you speak incessantly?
So
Because that's a key part of it. I ride around London and it's all in my head.
Yeah.
It's not verbalised.
So verbalising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I found myself, you know how funny how I have these conversations and I have to explain what it is like to ride, but I'm talking to people who ride. So you know when you have your helmet on, and people listening will know this as well, you talk to yourself sometimes, and there are days where you just don't do it too much, and there are days where you do, or you'll start singing, or you start to verbalise what's going on in your head. And I do have days where I don't say much, and it's not like I'm feeling down or anything, I just don't do it. And there are other days where I've had 2 coffees and I just talk absolute nonsense. And a lot of the videos is when I completely forget the camera's on. My best ones is when I completely.
Yeah, you just witter away. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, it is fascinating to watch. So you do. You come up to a bus driver, or you come up to someone, or whatever it is that's going on. It's interesting.
So it's the way I make videos is verbalise everything that's going on if I feel like it, and just whatever. And if something happens that's gold, go and get it. I don't try and perform for the camera. I try and forget that it's on, and I just go about my day. And there's no pressure for me because I've got a year on backlog still. So if nothing happens, I don't care. But if something happens, great, and it goes onto the pile that I'm going to edit at some point, and it goes out.
Yeah.
So.
And how do you find the editing process? I mean, I know everybody who does any filming,
it's the
doesn't
worst.
like the editing. It's like when people ask me, they say, when I do these motorcycle tours and these people have these GoPros and they say, oh, I'm going to film everything. And I said, who are you going to show it to? And they go, well, back home, the family are going to love it. And I'm going to love it. They'll love the edited bit. But when will you get to that?
Yeah.
So it's very hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with editing. There are moments and days and weeks sometimes where I love it, and I will just get in the source and I'll edit 3 or 4 videos in 2 days, and it will cover me for 2 weeks, and I'll get fixated on the little tiniest things, and I've learned a lot as I've gone.
Yeah.
And there are other times where I just think, oh my God, I've spent 20 hours on a 1-minute video before, and it's yeah. I mean,
and have you ever thought about getting someone on board to help you with that?
Yeah, so my brother helps me a lot, and I've got another editor who edits for Max Fosh, big YouTube editor. He works for me 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I've just filmed a travel series, and the WhatsApp group was called The Long Way Home Budget Edition.
Oh.
It was, by the way. So full circle moment happening right now.
I shall just
Get
get
your
the
lawyers
lawyers
onto
onto
that.
that.
Budget Edition. So
what's the travel thing?
I rode from London to Greece with a bunch of friends and my brother, and we got Quadlock sponsored it, Triumph, Michelin, and GoPro sponsored it as well. So it's like a huge moment for me, and we documented and filmed the whole thing. So
They're nice Quadlock people, aren't they?
yeah, great. And I was GoPro'd up, so was my brother, and we recorded the entire Cardo audio about halfway in. I realised how to do it. So for episode 4 onwards, everyone is being recorded the entire time, and it's mainly.
Oh, you were doing the mesh thing.
It was like a moving podcast or like lobby that was moving, and all of us are traveling towards Greece. And there's some bike chat in there, but it's mostly about 5 mates having a laugh on bikes, traveling from London to Greece. And there's 8 episodes. Each episode is 2 days. And it took us 16 days to get there, and I was in Greece. And then I went around Athens giving people lifts for free, and doing the whole Harvey rides bikes thing, giving sweets to Greek people, which they found very confusing, in Athens. And I made a bunch of videos there as well. So, yeah, it was that's. I'm trying to do this full time, and part of that's one of the reasons I revealed my face as well, is because I wanted to take people on a journey and explain. And resonate with people a bit more, and like, right, this is where we are, this is where we're going.
Well, eventually, at some stage, you kind of have to reveal yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Because then the public then start to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because they They're
Yeah,
not
why-
seeing you.
Why
Yeah.
did you keep your identity secret to begin with? Was it just because you felt no need to show your face because of the videos you were creating, or?
It happened by accident. So one of my really early photos, there was a photo of my face in a carousel, and when I decided to start hiding my face, I deleted it, so people didn't really see it. But 30 or 40 reels in, I realised that my face wasn't in anything because it's POV GoPro footage, so everything. And I didn't want to do the whole, hey guys, I'm doing this today. I'm going to have a coffee and then I'm going to ride my bike. This is what it sounds like, whatever. And I realised people were really interested in it.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it on purpose. I just started to lean into it and have fun. So I started to, do the lid and on stories and just became a bit more of the mischievous sort of gimmick, I suppose, in a way. I didn't personally care that much. However, I didn't really want my work to find out because, Charlie, as you say, it's a bit embarrassing because I was dealing with developers and banks and high net worth individuals sitting in boardrooms and I'm in a suit talking about property. But online, I was on my way to work singing about running out of petrol, giving sweets to people. So I didn't really...
It's a hard sell at work saying that.
Yeah.
What did you do today? Well, I just gave out sweets to people.
Yeah.
You'll never believe what happened on the way to this meeting.
Yeah. It's what.
No, but there is. I mean, the problem is that once because the social media, Instagram and Twitter and it's X and YouTube and everything is also nobody watches television anymore. Everybody watches YouTube or Instagram and that long form now. Instagram has become television.
Yeah.
For people.
Yeah. And it was slightly embarrassing.
Your face does spread.
Yeah. It was slightly embarrassing, as you say, when I first started, because you're uploading. You used to talk about how I talk a lot in my internal monologue. I've got 300 followers, and half of them are my friends and family, and whatever. And I'm going, hey guys, or I'm uploading my internal monologue live of what's going on in my brain, which not many people do. It's a bit weird, and I've got 300 followers, and my colleagues might see it. So I didn't want to advertise that it's me too much because it's.
Do you think you're influencing people, or do you think you're entertaining people? Because what are you influencing? You're influencing someone to do something, to take an action, to change the way they think, or make it that there's a change in behaviour in some way that they're being influenced to make. Mindset.
Whereas, my friend.
Or are you just entertaining people?
A bit of both, I think. I don't like the word influencer, but my friends go, "You're an influencer. You're a TikToker," kind of thing. They love it. And but when someone runs into you in traffic. Like yesterday, I was running around and this girl called Chloe went, and I pulled over and gave her some sweets. And she went, I've started riding because of you. I've just passed my CBT. And later on, she sent me a picture of a Yamaha MT-125. She went, I've got this because of you. I didn't even think about getting on a bike before. And now it's like, wow.
No, that's a nice part of it.
That's, I guess, the true meaning of the word influence.
Yes,
I've influenced them to get bikes. Like, wow. So that's amazing. That's incredible. That's it's fantastic.
No, it is. I mean, that's the best part of it, really.
Yeah.
Is you're sitting there and you're seeing a father and a son. I saw this father and son once, and he came up to me and he said he'd gone through some terrible cancer and it wasn't very good. And, he got his 18-year-old son past his test and they went off to Africa. And the father's not there anymore, but they had this moment. And he said it was because of the idea to go and travel, and it's nice when you hear stories about people getting on a motorcycle. As you say, anyone who does any content about motorcycles is fantastic. Because, the reason we started this podcast is because, when you get on a motorbike and doing whatever you do or whatever any of us do, you get off the bike and you always feel better.
Yes.
Regardless of what your mood was like when you got on the bike.
Yeah.
If you're in a good mood, you get off the bike feeling better. If you're in a bad mood, you get off the bike feeling better.
Yeah.
So it's just better.
Yeah. 100%. So I get these messages like that, those stories. They're like, wow, this is great. There's one girl, her dad died on a motorbike, and she didn't like them because of it. And whenever a motorbike went past her in the car or in the street, she would remind her. And it's almost like a shuddery feeling of and it got better, but it would still happen. And then she saw my videos and now she loves them. And it's changed her perception of it. I think, wow, it knocked me for six. I think that's
she could finally see what her father felt.
Yeah, exactly. And she doesn't get that feeling now. I think that's incredible, and it makes it like so worth it that one person was affected in that way, and then everyone else. So, yeah. So, but I try to make entertaining things anyway as well. I tend not to make too bike related things as well. Like I
was thinking about this last night. I was doom scrolling through your page.
It's nothing to do with the bike. There's no bike information on there.
It's about people. It's about interactions with other human beings, and it's a very personal. The way you are and the way you engage with people is all of these buzzwords of genuine and authentic and blah blah. And it's just humanity in its nice form, just showing that we're all in this. Especially somewhere like London, you're all in it together. There's always something going on. Yeah. There's something happening. It's bloody dangerous. But if you approach it in a positive mindset, then actually it can be a really rewarding experience just engaging with other people in the world. And that's not always the case, right? But it can be if you take that mindset to do it. And I think what you've done is the sweets is that catalyst to engage, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what instantly breaks down a barrier with someone.
Yeah. It's quite disarming.
And the other one I liked when somebody was having road rage at you and you just started talking absolute rubbish at them, but they're just like, what?
She messaged me.
Did she?
She saw the video. She said, I'm going to contact the police. You need to remove that video, because she was, I was going, I'm usually quite wizzy and I speed anyway, but I was outside 10 Downing Street and I've been pulled over there before, so I go 20. And I was just trundling along. I was on a rocket, 2.5 litres.
Totally pointless bike.
Yeah.
But
so
there's nothing pointless about that bike whatsoever. Thank fucking God, well, whoever you believe in, that people do build those things.
Yeah.
Because it's important. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
If you want, it's the great bike. It's not that useful, and it's great in a straight line. Anything else, no. But if you pull into a car park and you want 10 middle-aged men to swarm you and talk about how great your bike is, then that is the bike.
Yeah. I love that bike.
There's nothing wrong with that.
When you twist the throttle open, it
just keeps going.
The most extraordinarily wonder. It's like someone has taken a Ferrari engine and stuck it on.
I mean, it's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's hilarious.
Anyway, so this girl was angry. Sorry.
I'm going along at 20 miles an hour singing Paramore, and I'm just sort of, literally, there's police everywhere. And this car, I look to my left and there's a huge honk. I look to my left, the car is here, if anyone listening, about a meter away from me. And she's going nuts and swearing at me or whatever. And I go, what? It goes 20 miles an hour. She's still beeping at me. It goes 20 miles an hour, babes. Like, what do you want me to do? And she pulls in behind me. And then I must admit, I saw a traffic light coming up. I was like, wait, I really want it to go red. So I pulled over to the right and let her come in. She went, are you okay? Like that. I mean, she started having a go at me. And yeah, I said what I said. What did I say? I went, oh yeah, I'm really sorry. I was dropped as a child. I don't know what happened. I was 2 years old or something, but the IKEA meatballs taste really good. And she looked at me like,
oh, they do taste fucking good, those
I've never had them.
Have you what?
I've never had them. It's just the first thing that came into my brain was just like that. And my brain just went, think of something random. And those are the two things that I thought of. I was dropped as a child. So it's almost like quite disarming. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's not my fault, I was dropped.
Yeah.
And but the IKEA meatballs taste like completely derail off track. And she looked at me so confused, and then the window just went like that. You just say complete nonsense at them. They can't.
And then she then said that you have to take it off.
I'm going to call the police. I didn't consent to you filming me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I think you're just a bit embarrassed. What are you going to say to the police? I was up the arse of this guy on the road. And
doing 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I tried to honk at him, and I was a meter away from him, and he said, IKEA meatballs taste really nice. Can you please tell him off? It's like, you're in public.
Yeah. Watch the video. He's clearly scared of your behaviour.
Yeah, I think you're just a bit embarrassed because.
Well, she's scared that something's going to be happening to her.
We got 15 or 20 million views. So I think it's something like that. So
did you should text back saying, well, the cat's out the bag. I'm so sorry.
So it's making me a fortune.
I can't get those 20 million back. I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So it sounds, what's interesting, because you've been mentioning it as you've been talking along is your diversions from from your original idea. So
Yeah.
so you've gone on a road trip. You're clearly thinking about lots of other ways to expand.
Yeah.
And is that all just happening naturally?
It started off sort of very Scramble of London-esque, like 3 or 4 reels, and I had an interaction with somebody, and all my reels were getting 1 to 5,000 views, and I uploaded an interaction with somebody. It was just me being me, and it got 35,000 views. I was like, oh, that's great, because I don't have to try and be someone else or rev the bike at certain times. I'm not performing, I'm just having a chat with somebody. And then, I was looking for that project, and then as it morphed and sort of the community ride outs that I do and the meetups, I thought, oh, this is great. And it morphed into sort of, I know my like 5 things I always say is sort of change the perception of bikers, have fun, give sweets to people, and just sort of go for it. But I really want to do it as a job. I would love for this to be my career. So I've quit my job. I've been full-time since May, but I'm just burning savings until I like make it work, basically. And if I can't make it work in about 18 months, I've got to go back.
But if you can transfer your followers, or even a third of those followers onto at the beginning onto watching YouTube, then you can quickly. I've only just started really going onto, but I started doing little motorbike reviews on YouTube just to try to understand YouTube, and it does work, and you do get money.
Yeah,
I mean it hasn't. I've been able to pay my cameraman and make a little bit of money,
right?
Having not really done a
great
deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's pure talent, obviously. But
I find it really hard.
I don't know. I've watched the videos, mate.
Fuck you. I was going to invite you onto one, but not now. Hey guys, I just wanted to say that Quadlock are joining us this season on the Nod Pod, and as we all know, fantastic brand.
Great bit of kit, and check out all the links in the bios. There's a little discount code for all of you lovely people to go and get some Quadlocks yourself.
Yeah, I've been using them for years. People don't, from my experience of what I've been doing for the last 20 years, is that always when you and I do our things, or the other TV shows that I've done, it's always about the people you meet along the way. We get all sorts of people watching the long ways, and I would say a third are bikers, and the rest are people, because it's a travel show as well, and it's about the people you meet along the way, and everybody can identify with travel. And if you've broken down or something's gone wrong, even though you're on a bike, it's happened to plenty of people.
Well,
it's not maybe in the car or the bus or train, whatever it is. It's all relatable.
And it's all about people. And this podcast is no different. It's loosely a motorcycle podcast, but actually it's about the people that ride bikes. It's not about the bikes themselves. We talk about bikes.
And how's your mental health?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, I find it. I almost feel bad commenting on mental health in a way, like, because I'm lucky that I've never really struggled with it. Yeah.
Well, that's because. Yeah,
life's not perfect. Upbringing was a bit all over the place, but at the same time, I think I don't think can remember a time where I've mentally. I think I've been hard times, and I've had awful days, but I've never been affected mentally too much.
Yeah.
Do you think about that sometimes, about why that might be? Because for me that's as important. We talk about mental health a lot. It doesn't mean it has to be bad all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody, a lot of people do struggle, but a lot of people don't. And that's as interesting. To understand maybe, what are the things that you do that keep you really mentally healthy and
ride bikes.
Yeah. Well, what is that balance here? Do you work out, are you pretty structured in your life? Have you, do you try to take a really positive mindset every day? Are there conscious things you do, or do you just think, it might just be genetically you don't suffer as much?
I go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm very fixated on that. I've got great friends. The friends that the way I say it is like, I can go into their fridges. These friends that you can just walk in and go to their fridges. I've got loads of those friends.
Fridge friends.
Yeah, fridge friends. And I've got loads of friends where I could go around their house and speak to their parents for ages before my friends are there. And great friends, coffee, gaming. I've got lots of outlets. I play a lot of games. I go to the gym a lot.
Go to the gym a lot. And do you see yourself as being, do you get a little bit of target fixation on things?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Very fixated on things. Like Instagram, this whole making videos thing has become that, and gym, and the projects that I've worked on or things that I've done, whether it be, I knew I didn't want to go to university, and I really wanted to buy a property before I was 25, and I decided that when I was 12 and 13. And I'll be honest, all I thought about from then and every single day up until I was bought the place was that. So I get very like goals, structure.
I think it's a good thing. I don't think
Well,
everyone puts emphasis
it's
on
a great
university.
thing if it's positive things that you're focused
Yes.
on.
Yeah.
Because the flip side is you could have
Yeah.
found cannabis and become fixated with that,
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
you down a different path.
Yeah. Well, I rarely, that's why I never really gamble or do drugs. I don't drink ever really. I mean, every 4 months I might do it. And my dad lives in Australia, so when he comes over, we'll go to the pub and have four or five drinks. That's great. Have barbecues at my house, love it. But in general, I don't touch alcohol. So that might help. Now I'm thinking about it live, I guess. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's been awful days and dark days. I got burgled. That really rattled me for a bit.
It's a horrible feeling.
It was horrible. I
Yeah.
got burgled here, and they took.
Yeah, it's
It's
awful.
just-
It's horrendous.
yeah.
It's your personal space, and
That's
yeah,
it.
But
It's the intrusion into your personal life, isn't it?
But it's the whole thing of the stuff that they've taken, the pain in the ass, the hassle factor, the thing that you've lost them, the thing that it's only 2-3 weeks later that you go to get something and you think, oh fuck, it's gone. And you think, oh, the motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I've had awful days, and I felt sad. But I think there's a difference between negative or like bad mental health, or struggling with mental health versus having a bad day. So I think I've had bad days, but I think I'm quite privileged and I feel quite lucky, which is why I feel bad commenting on it too much, because I'm just happy in general.
I think it's great to talk about, that in a way that, what does good mental health look like, and how was, your environment created a situation perhaps where you've been able to be positive. I don't know, growing up, you're slightly younger than Charlie and I, and the world you've grown up in as a child was probably slightly different in terms of how people talked about that, and the types of relationships you've had with friends, and the conversations that have been allowed to exist within that friendship group, and maybe more open.
I've got no filter. I tell most people everything. Yeah, that I think has helped a lot.
Well, that's a great way to
deal. I whether my mates want to hear it or not. Sometimes it can be quite crass, and I'll tell them a story that maybe they don't want to hear. But like in general,
then that's out. You vocalised it. It's gone. You've dealt with it. Yeah. That's good practice. Around your well-being.
So I've got really good mates who I just tell them. I tell everybody everything, whether I look bad or great or like. And I think that is a good thing. No filter.
Yeah. But there's that lovely scene in. Did you ever see Crocodile Dundee?
I have
seen that film.
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah.
Anyway, a long time. Anyway, there's a bit where. This
a great example of modern masculinity.
But this New Yorker, she's in the middle of Australia somewhere, and she goes, and there's this lady who's a bit, got some whatever, and she goes, oh, is there any therapist that you can talk to here? And he goes, yeah, you speak to Wally. Wally tells everybody everything, and then there's no problem anymore. So I think it's very true. If you are very open and happy to talk about everything, then very similar to you, I had an upbringing. There was plenty of ups and downs, but it's never, and I've, as you say, been very sad, but always been able to verbalise.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think motorbikes help a lot. You mentioned sort of getting on the 100%. Bike, and you feel great afterwards. I think that is a massive factor, and I think there's so many different facets to it. I mean, you'll know that I think the tribe of being on a motorbike is great, and the community behind it. I mean, it's really difficult to make friends as an adult, but if you own a bike and go to the shed or a ride out or something, like you'll.
Well, it's interesting you talked about the bike shed. Did we talk about the bike shed?
Not yet.
Here, because you said earlier that you started going to the bike shed.
Yeah.
When you first started riding motorcycles.
Yeah.
And got this community.
Yeah. So I bought a Kawasaki sports bike, discovered the shed a month later, realised I've done this all wrong. Love motorcycle custom culture and Triumphs and Royal Enfields and Scramblers and like old school things that have been modified, or two bikes welded into one or whatever. And I joined as a member, and I wanted to meet people I could ride with, because backtrack a little bit. I went to Rikers on the Kawasaki the first time I went for a ride. I went there, and this guy came up to me.
It's changed a lot now.
It's a very different tribe.
Better now.
Different tribe. But I went there, my first bike, because I got on it, and the guy who dropped it off, I was wearing all my kit. I was so excited. And he dropped it off at my house. I got on it. I went, where am I going to go? And I went to Box Hill School. So I drove past Rikers every day, and I knew about that. I'll just go Rikers. Went there, pulled in, 2 or 3 guys came over, and they're like, oh, what tyres are they? I don't know. And they went, oh, like, you need to get like Pilot Road 6 Michelin. I said, no idea what you just said. And they said, they walked around the bike and they were loving it, but they were quite like, why have you got that? And what's this customization stuff? I said, lads, I'm going to level with you. It's my first bike I've ever ridden. I got it today. And they went, this is your first bike. And they were berating me a little bit, and it was a bit gatekeepy. And they went, anyway, join our Facebook group. I went, yes, I'm going to make friends, my first thing. And it was a Kawasaki only. I thought that's a bit weird. Like, you're not allowed other unless you.
Oh yeah.
Kawasaki.
God.
And
well, yeah, there are people who are very brand loyal.
yeah, and I got in this group because I had to apply for it on Facebook and prove that I had a Kawasaki. And I went on it, and it was all those lads, and they were doing this at the camera, like that at the side of the road with all their Kawasaki lined up. I was like, well, I don't really want to be involved in that kind of thing. Like, oh well. But then anyway, I discovered the shed, joined as a member, and I went to a members' night by myself. The first members' night. It was a quiz night, which is perfect for meeting people because you get thrown into a team. Yeah. Presumably everyone's there is going to be friendly. It's going to be cool. Yeah. And Nancy, shout out, the girl that was hosting it, because Dan was away or something. And
Dan on one of his on one of his work holidays
or
work holiday.
Yeah.
Dan the man. I remember when Dan first started and we were going like, Dan, we need to find someone who can do this because I don't have the time and he goes, well, I've got this list of things that I've always wanted to do. And I said, fine, I can do that.
And so I went to the quiz night. Nancy came up to me at the end of the quiz and went, you're new, what's your name? Straight away in there. I'm like, oh, you're cool. And thought of, so Harvey, by the end of the night, or 10 minutes later, I was in 2 WhatsApp groups. 4 days later, I went for breakfast, I think, with 4 or 5 people. And within a month to 6 weeks, there were 15 bikes outside my house because I'd put in a group saying I'm going to do a barbecue. And there were all these bikes lined up outside my house. And then there was that summer of 20 to 30 people, I can't remember, in this WhatsApp group. Half of them are girls as well, half of them are guys. And there was always someone in the shed. So I was there 4 days a week after work. So I would gym in the morning, go to work, and I had the whole evening, and I would just go to the shed. And it got to the point where you didn't even have to let anyone know you're going, because there'd be someone there, and it literally felt like I was an episode of Friends. And it was like I was living in a movie. And every single Friday we worked from home, and we all brought our laptops to the shed, and we would just sit there all day working. And there would be work being done, but there'd be 10 of us all sat there, just chat about bikes. Someone would be on Auto Trader or eBay, and we're planning the Malay or trips away, and then we'd sit and talk about bikes and work every single Friday.
Wow.
And it was just like this. It was a great time, and it was really captured that community. Yeah, in the middle of London, strangers don't talk to each other.
And there's off-street parking as well, because because years and years ago, the only place to go was Rikers or the Ace Cafe.
Yeah.
And it was all really shit coffee, shit food.
Yeah.
It was just shit. And I was so desperate.
And those real
to go
tight
somewhere,
cliques as well.
Yeah, tight cliques and the this
gang.
is super gang. And I was, and then do you want to join the GS gang, club? And I was like, don't want to do that. Yeah.
Surely
I want to do more Hemingway.
Like honorary president.
I was more
of the GS
Hemingway.
well.
I want to be a member of a club that no one knows about.
Most biker places are greasy spoons with a biker skin on it.
But
so they're just cafes.
So when I was knocking around with a guy called Nicholas Cowell, and
I met him,
and we were trying to start a cafe, and we were struggling, and then Nicholas and I went into Bike's Head exhibition, and the two of us thought, this is it. So we approached Dutch and said, look, Dutch, if we can find the site, money, will you run it? And so he said yes. So that's how.
Wow.
That's how the Bike's Head started.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
No.
I probably wouldn't exist in the capacity that I do without the shed.
Well, that's but saying that, what I'm trying to say is that when we sat
wasn't
there,
just fishing for
when,
prey.
no. When we did start it, that was my thing. I wanted to go to the toilet and have a nice experience in the toilet, and then walk back to
That's
where I'm
cubicle
sitting.
3 if you're in the bike
where I'm
shed,
sitting.
by the way.
And the experience got better and better and better and nice. You sat down and you had a cup of coffee that was really nice. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so to hear you saying all of that, it's fabulous. That's what we wanted, was to create
Harvey
to create a Soho house for motorcycles is what we really wanted to do.
It's great. And Harvey Rides Bikes in its capacity now wouldn't exist, I don't think, without the shed, 100%, because it ignited that London.
So I think we should have a percentage of whatever you earn from now on.
and me to you then in the shed.
What?
But that's it. I mean, for anybody listening that doesn't live in central London and go through Shoreditch every day, the shed's accessible if you're in that area. But the biking culture is that if you feel like you're alone and you haven't found your tribe yet, it's out there and it's probably quite local. You just need to get out, stop, and have conversations and find those people, because they're there.
Yeah.
And anyone's welcome.
That's
in
it.
the bike shed. It's not just your urban lumberjacks. It's whoever wants to be there.
I think
there's no tribes.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that you have to ride a bike or be a member or pay to go or something.
Yeah,
I
no,
get that
you don't,
because it's called the bike shed. But the slogan is for people who love motorcycles, for people who love motorcycles. So I've message people all the time, just go. You don't have to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Go. It's a restaurant, cafe experience
and
thing.
It's become a place now, hasn't it? It took a long time for people to realise it's there, and so Anyway, we're here to talk about you. So what's next for you? What's going on? I know you've got plans, but what are the next thing that I know that we're going to see on your platform?
Yeah, so I'd like to take every single video idea to the absolute, and they might work out, they might not, but I'd like to take every single video idea to the absolute peak of what they could potentially be. So the taxi run service is when I give sort of lifts to complete strangers. I'd like to do that for celebrities, so almost like a moving podcast. I've done it with Mabel, Simon Brodkin, Troy Hawke, a few other people, but I'd like to sort of interview celebrities on a bike, so have them on there and go through London having a chat. So it's almost like a carpool karaoke or chicken shop dates kind of interview format on a bike, but still staying true to where it originated from, so still giving lifts to strangers every other episode kind of thing. So it's like, here's Greg who needs to get to his building site, and next week have Ant and Deck on a sidecar and we get them to the studio or something. I'd love to do that. The community rides that I do, so every few months I'll do like a community ride or a meetup or a bike meet. So imagine and do that across Europe. So like the Gumball rally of bikes, and we organise all the things, like a huge tour. Travel series stuff, TV, maybe not presenting, or maybe some sort of like your travel thing, or challenges or something like that, almost like a cameo, rather than go full TV. I don't know. And YouTube is where I kind of want to grow and sort of build out that audience where people are watching that and following everything, rather than it's kind of where I want to take it.
Well, you're pretty much there anyway. So I can't.
Trying.
Well, yeah, I think
Trying.
you are. I think
Trying.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's
nice to have you. It's nice to have you here.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
It's been lovely.
I mean, it's just amazing to see. This has all been. When did you start your?
A year and a half ago.
Yeah, so
a year and a half
months
ago.
is-
Yeah.
is-
I can't believe it sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I just can't.
And it feels like you've built up, like anything, it takes, there's no overnight successes. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of hustling behind the scenes. We know from the podcast and everything that you do, it doesn't just happen. But to get to where you are in 18 months.
Do people say, "Oh yeah, work"?
Yeah.
My children, they sit there and I say, "I'm off to work now," and they go, "Oh yeah, work."
Yeah.
So where does all this come from?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I work more hours than I did before.
Yeah,
for sure.
You put the
I don't
work
think
in.
people realise either that behind the scenes it is actually quite a lot of work.
Yeah. So I used to pull to make it work when I was working. I was staying up to 2 a.m. for a year, sort of editing videos and getting them out there, because there's no other time to do it, and it slowly encroached, and I had to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of. My brother
Well
helps me a
done,
lot.
though.
That's another series I'd like to do. So my brother and I have bought a crashed bike, and we want to restore it and customize it, but not for profit in the sense of we're going to flip bikes. We want to have like these bikes that we've built and scrambled and end up in a show and that we ride as a thing. But it was once a crashed bike and was going to be scrapped or whatever it might be. But we've turned it into something one of one.
Usable. Yeah.
So that's another thing I'd like to do, and introduce my brother a bit more, because he helps me a lot. He edits the videos for me, and he's been supporting me. And I've got videos of him. It's been 2 a.m. and I've got work the next day. Can you just caption this, because I need to upload it tomorrow for this, that, and the other. And he's been like, okay. And he's come downstairs, and I've got my bed, and I've got a clip of him.
Do you live with a brother?
Yeah, he lives with me. Yeah.
What's your brother's name?
Humphrey. He's great. He was riding before me, and he was riding at 16, 17. He's another reason I started riding is because we got much closer from riding bikes. And I used to, he was at Portsmouth University and I was here, and I used to ride to him, and we'd go for a ride together, and it brought us really close together.
But I think having your family on your back working together is having them, looking out for each other, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, and he's helped me a lot, and to be able to pay for him to go around and do the Greece thing as well is like an honor, and he's helped me with it. So it's cool to share that experience with him, and I want to sit, when I'm 70 and he's 60, I want to like watch it with him, because it'd be so cool.
This is what you and I exactly said when we did the first one 20 years ago.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody understood it. We so barely got a TV deal. It was ridiculous.
The world of social media is a lot of people looking for either to live vicariously through other people or use it as inspiration to see people, making following their dreams, following their passions, making a success of it, and giving them that inspiration to maybe take that chance themselves. And it's not like you just quit your job and you throw everything at it. You build up to it. You invest your time in the passion. If you're doing
there's a
something
big
you don't want to do, but you worked for 18 months whilst you were doing this, juggled it all, and then got to the position where you can take that leap of faith and commit to having a go. And if it doesn't work, you can always go back to work. But you've got to give it a go.
It was scary for you, right?
Oh, petrifying. Yeah. But I called my dad, and I almost wanted subconsciously for him to go, "Don't do it, you're crazy," because it's like almost kind of like the easier option. But he said, "You got to do it." I was like, what? No, I have to. But the way I looked at it, I was like, you know what? If I go for it, and fail in a year or 5 years or 10 years and go back to work, it's fine, because I'll be 70 years old or 60 or whatever, and I'll look back and go, oh, that's fine. I know, because I tried.
Yeah.
And it's like.
Well, how old are you now?
I'm 31.
31. See, even if you did it for the next couple of years and it didn't work, you're 33 years old. It's most people only start doing stuff then, so you can have 2 or 3 lifetimes in the next 10 years, and it wouldn't matter. Yeah. But at least you did it, as you say.
Yeah. And you never know where it's going to take you.
Exactly. But
I think you'll be fine.
If I didn't, and I carried on doing both, and then it failed in a year or 2 or 5, I think when I'm 60 or 70, I'd look back and go, oh, what if I just did that? And I think I'd much rather lose all my savings and know I tried when I'm 60 or 70. And another thing I realised is the worst outcome is that it doesn't work out, money-wise or career-wise or as a job. And that's it. And I just go back to work. That's the worst outcome. But then I had fun for 2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years.
And I travelled, and I filmed the travel series, and I did the thing. I did it with my brother, and that's pretty good. The worst outcome is pretty amazing. Yeah. Is that I rode around bikes for 2 years and tried to make it my job, and went to Australia or did the Greece thing and did all this other stuff.
Well done, mate. And thank you for coming.
Thank you
really
very much.
Appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah. Thank you for
having
me.
Great fun.
Thank you for listening to The Nod, a mindful motorcycle podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Do make sure to subscribe, get your alerts. Do follow Harvey on Harvey Rides Bikes on Instagram, TikTok. It's the same handle for YouTube.
It is, yep.
Yeah, find it all. Go find Harvey. Go and sign up to him. Make him a big success that we want to see. You can follow us on The Nod Pod on Instagram. And we'll be back next week with another guest who we'll be hitting the road with and having a chat. I've dropped my microphone. This is slick. Join us next time. Until then, stay safe, be kind, and check in with the mate.
Yeah. Thank you.
Love you, bye. Love you.
Love you, bye.